Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Brittany Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Susan Young Oskey. Susan is the author of The Scent of Roses. And Susan and I are going to be talking today on the unbreakable bond between a mother and daughter. And this bond that we're going to be talking about is going to transcend life and get into afterlife. So it's going to be a very sad and strong conversation. And I'm so glad or so honored that Susan chose to share her story in her book with you, the listening audience. And the main purpose is definitely to give you hope. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
You're very welcome. All right, guys. So let me introduce you to Susan and, just give a little bit of a backstory on her. So Susan Young Oskey had a happy childhood thanks to her loving and nurturing parents. Spending her teenage years being bullied and battling anxiety and depression, Susan found her calling as a teacher. Susan is a retired elementary school teacher with an MA degree from Stony Brook University. She enjoys traveling and spending time with her family. After marrying Christopher, she welcomed her baby girl, Brittany, and the following years were easily the best years of her life. However, things took a tragic turn when her beloved daughter was taken from her too soon. After losing Brittany in a tragic accident, Susan's life would have stopped if she hadn't discovered resources that help bereaved parents like her find solace. Since then, Susan, with the help of her family and friends, has found ways to talk to Brittany, who loves communicating with her mama. She's thrilled to be sharing her life experience with the afterlife with those who are grieving over the loss of a loved one. All right, guys, I told you this was going to be deep. This was going to be sad. This was going to be strong conversation. And I want to start off by saying that I only have one daughter and I have a very, very special bond with her. So I understand and I give my condolences to Susan. I know how she feels, and the bond with my daughter is so strong that she was born on my birthday. So I always say that she's the gift that keeps on giving. So, so Susan, with that preface, can you share your incredible story of a mother-daughter bond that transcended death? Tell us about your precious Brittany.
Well, Brittany was a joy to us. We were thrilled when she was born because I had had a late miscarriage before her. And then we struggled to get pregnant again. And when we did, we were overjoyed. She had a unique personality from a young age. She never held back what she was feeling. She was very sassy, very loving. It was up until the early teen years that her personality started to change a little bit. And that's really where the story begins with her.
Go ahead.
She started having mental health issues when she was around 12 or 13 years old. I noticed the problems, the anxiety, the depression, just the lack of confidence, something that she always had when she was young, and she didn't have it anymore. It was just gone. I immediately got her into therapy, and all through high school, we worked on that. It wasn't until a couple of psychiatrists gave her medications for her anxiety that we started to have some difficulties there. They kept changing her meds, and as you know, as she went into the college years, it wasn't getting any better. As a matter of fact, it was getting worse. She worked hard in school. She got into a great university. She got into Stony Brook University, and we were just thrilled. But by that time, it was her junior year in college. She had given up on herself. She stopped doing her homework. She stopped socializing. She was depressed all the time. and the anxiety was through the roof with her. I tried so hard to do something with her, but I tried to ask the psychiatrist to help me, but I didn't get any much, I didn't get very far with that, which was very sad to me because I really thought I was going to be able to help her. She she went to a friend's house one night in February of 2018, and she had a lot of pain because she had a infection, and she only had antibiotics for the infection, nothing for pain. And her friend told her that she had a bottle of methadone that would help with the pain. So unknowingly, my daughter took it because she just wanted to be relieved of the pain. And it turned out to be fatal. Something that I would never thought would have happened to her.
Oh my gosh. So that's mixing the drugs, I'm assuming, because for those that doesn't know what methadone is, I do. It is the drug that they give you when you're getting off of heroin, isn't it?
Yes. It used to be used for pain relief as well.
Mm. Wow. Wow. And when I read your bio, I'm thinking of a tragic, I'm thinking car accident. Wow. Hmm. Well, listen, I am so sorry. I grieve, with you for the pain. Well, let's unpack it a little bit. Can you share what her mental illness was diagnosed with? Was it bipolar? Was it just depression? What was it?
It was bipolar, depression,
Mm.
and anxiety. So they were trying to treat those issues with the medication, but she got worse and worse. She had just turned 21, and the accident happened just 10 days after her 21st birthday.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And it's still fresh because you said 2018, so it's 5 years
Yes.
ago now.
Yes.
Wow. My heart bleeds for you. Oh my goodness. But wow, I was watching Anna Nicole's biography not too long ago, and almost the same thing happened to her and her son. So mixing drugs these days are, wow, it's pretty
No,
dangerous. What was that?
she was on prescription drugs. So that did not mix well with the methadone, and that's why it happened.
Yeah, I know, which is exactly what was going on with Anna Nicole Smith and her son. They both were mixing several prescription drugs, and it didn't mingle in. Wow. So yeah, like I said, I can't say enough how sorry I am and for your
Thank
pain.
you.
So tell us, if you want to get into what happened after, what happened after her death that transcended into her communicating with you.
Well, I always had visits from family members through my dreams. And in the beginning, I thought, no, they're just dreams. But it turned out they started giving me messages as well in these dreams. My uncle came to tell me to stop smoking. And at the time, I was smoking. And he died from lung cancer. You know, a cousin that had taken his life came to me in a dream and told me, I'm okay now. Please tell the family that I'm okay. I've seen so many of them in my dreams, and now I take them seriously. And I talk about them now because it seems that more people are open to listen to things like this.
Mhm.
Years ago, a coworker had passed in a car accident, and she came to me and she told me, please tell my family I'm okay. And I thought, oh, they're gonna lock me up or something saying this. But it was,
They're not
that
going to
was,
believe, right?
you know,
Yes.
I mean, that was back in the 90s. But, and because I've already had that communication, I was very open to communicating with her. Of course, the weeks that follow were traumatic. We were in shock, in disbelief. We didn't know what we were going to do. We had a lot of support. at least from my side of the family. My sisters, they all supported me. But this was beyond pain, any pain that I have ever experienced in my life. I mean, I've never felt such pain before. And I think anybody that's a parent could definitely understand that. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe she left so young at the age of just turning 21. She was barely legal, just finally turned 21. She was a smart girl. I felt she had so much life inside of her, but she was fighting these issues that
Mhm.
as much as I tried to help her, I just couldn't do it. You know, I tried. I'll never put any blame on myself because I did definitely try. So soon after, I started smelling a very strong scent of roses. Now, roses, yeah, yes,
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Why the name of your book? Right.
yes.
Yes, that's good.
I
Good.
mean, at first I thought, oh, this has got to be an air freshener. This has to, but I'm like, there's no air freshener plugged in. Okay. She
Mhm.
was very strong with the scent in the early days because she needed to get to me.
Get
She
your
needed
attention.
she
Yes.
needed to let me know that yes, she was okay. And because she's still a very strong person, she was able to do that. It didn't matter where I went. I was visiting my sister down in Florida, and it happened there. Uh, it happened when I was driving my car to meet friends. And I'm like, and at that point, I said, no, no, this is real. This is really happening.
Let me interrupt for a minute. Why roses? Was that one of her favorite flowers? Is it your favorite flower? What's the connection?
It was her favorite flowers, and she would keep the roses in her room even after they died. She'd keep them
Ah,
there.
okay. Right.
So, so I knew right away that
Right. Okay.
that's what she was doing for me.
Hmm.
And then I started having the dream visits from her, and she was showing me herself and how she looked, and it was amazing. She told me that she was okay now, Mom. I'm okay. Even my husband, who never ever had any dream visits from anyone, got one from her. And I was just amazed that she got through to him because nobody else ever could. I was in shock. And
Wow.
I asked him, what did she look like? Oh, well, she's wearing one of those plaid shirts that she always wore. And she was with a friend. And she said, Dad, I'm okay. And he said to her, I've been looking for you, Lamb. He used to call her Lamb.
Oh,
And she said, I'm okay now. So that was very heartwarming to me because my husband never believed in the afterlife at all. He didn't have any kind of beliefs, but he does now. There was just too many things that were happening. I would find bracelets out on the lawn. There was a Juicy Couture bracelet that she wore when she was a young teenager. I hadn't seen in years, and all of a sudden I'm mowing the lawn and it's sitting there. Like, how?
was it in her room? Did she pick it up
I,
from her room and put it there just so to get your attention?
yeah,
Where was
I
it?
mean, it was on the lawn. It was just sitting
No,
out
I
on the
mean, where
lawn.
was it before then?
I have no idea where it was.
Oh,
I
okay.
I assumed it was in her room, but
Okay.
I
All
had
right.
I had cleaned her room. I had cleaned her room for months, and I don't remember seeing anything. And
Okay.
how it got there, there's nobody comes into our house. We live in
Right.
a very remote area. There's nobody around. I don't know how it got there, but it did.
It
And
did.
I said, "Oh, look at this." And it was laying next to the steps. My husband and I were sitting outside and we would talk all the time and cry after this happened. And it was just sitting there. And I said, "Oh, there's no doubt this is her. This things just don't come out, into space, into the open. That doesn't just, I mean, that's not,
Right.
it happened."
Wow. Wow.
And
Wow.
there were
Keep going.
other
Keep going. Hmm.
there were other things. My husband likes to sit outside in his chair, and it's all wooded around here, and he just looks into the woods and looks for the wild animals. And one night, as he was sitting in his chair, he noticed some kind of a doll that was just sitting outside, and the doll was all in red, and it had a red heart on her. Now, my daughter's birthday is in February. So the all red for February, the heart for February. And at this point, I said, okay, I know where it came from. And he came into the house and he said, look what I found. And he was teary eyed. He was very teary eyed. He really, it's helped him a lot. He misses her terribly, but just these little signs, it's just amazing.
Okay.
You know, there's so many other things that I wrote about in this book about my encounters with her after death. And if you had asked me 30 years ago, I would never have believed it myself. But you know what? It happened.
Yeah, I believe it because, like I said, I've had several interviews of on the show, and as you were talking, the last one that I had was similar, so eerily similar that it's amazing. Now, before I mention that, did you ever talk to Brittany other than in your dreams? Did you ever like go to a medium and like talk to her?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Okay.
Um, Many came through with validations of things that happened to me when I was a child, things that she could not possibly know. The medium said to me, she's telling me that when you were a little girl, your father almost drowned in the pool. It happened. I mean, how could she possibly know that? So,
Okay.
good mediums will give you validations that, yes, you are talking to them.
Mm,
And she is a very vibrant, energetic spirit because I can meditate and I can hear her giving me words of wisdom in my own head. When I can clear my head out, when I can focus and meditate, which I really have a hard time with, but I try to do that. And I,
mhm.
I can feel her and I can hear it.
Wow. Okay. Well, yeah. So the last interview that I had, um, and for those of you listening, I will link out to it. This just gives collaboration to the story. A mother, her son again was having some issues. He was 28 and he went to a party and he actually decided to shoot up heroin. That was the real drug. And even though she said he was 6'6" or something, big guy, that one dose killed him.
Yeah.
And she was devastated. Again, she had some clairvoyant ability in her from the past, and she kept feeling him around her. She said it was like a bird, he was fluttering. And then she decided to go to a medium and they started communicating and she became a shaman and now she helps other spirits and help other souls. But
Yes.
it's almost exactly the same thing, which is why I asked you that. So why do you think that Brittany um, started showing up with the sense of the roses? Why do you think that she came back? Now, our conversation today is entitled, the bond between a mother and daughter that transcends death. Do you think that she came back because of that bond? She came back because she had a message for you? Why do you think it happened?
We were very close as mother and daughter. We went beyond the usual mother-daughter relationship. We would travel all the time, just the two of us. We would do everything together. As she got older into adulthood, she was my best friend. I mean, that's
Oh,
what we were. And she was the type of young adult that would share with me things that other parents probably didn't want to hear. But she felt comfortable enough. So
mhm.
I feel that she wanted to let me know that that bond has not been broken.
Oh,
Y- You know, I I
so
I
beautiful.
truly believe that, and I truly believe that she is a highly spiritual person. She was here as well. She was born with a kind of knowing certain things
Mm-hmm.
that some people can live to 80 years old and they don't know.
Right,
Her
right,
young in her
right.
young mind, it was amazing. I mean, there were things that she taught me. Who would ever think this young person could teach their mother anything? But she
Yeah.
did. She was very
Wow.
aware. She was an empath. She was sensitive. She
Mhm.
was all for equality for everyone. And when she saw things that were wrong, it would get her very, very upset.
That's
That's that's the kind of a girl that she was. The kind of person we need more of.
yeah.
And for so long I kept thinking, why, she brought a lot of happiness to a lot of people because her friends came out of the woodwork telling me the things that she did for them. And I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. I had no idea because she never bragged. She never told me anything like the good that she actually did, like sticking up for bullies and being nice to someone who's being made fun of, all those things. But I feel that because I was open to communication from the afterlife, because I've had it before, that she
Mhm.
was able to come to me a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. Well, you said something earlier that she had to be a very powerful spirit, because one of the things that I've learned from having these several conversations is that the reason that we don't see spirit all the time, even though they're all over, is because they're in a different frequency. In order for them to come into our experience, they either have to know how to lower their frequency or we have to know how to raise ours. And very few of them know how to do that. So that's my explanation. Did the medium give you a different explanation?
No, that's exactly what I was told. Now, Brittany is able to lower her vibration. And
Mhm.
because I am an empath too, and I'm a sensitive, if I really concentrate, I can make mine higher as well.
Okay, yeah,
I mean,
that's
and
good.
that's
That's good.
exactly how they
Yeah,
communicate because they are in a
yes,
different vibration than we are.
yes,
They're
yeah.
moving much faster than we are. It's a
Mm-hmm,
different. I call death like you're moving from one door to the other.
mm-hmm,
That's what everyone fears death, but because I've lost so many people in my life, I know that they're there. They've shown me more than one time that they're okay, no
yeah,
matter what struggle they had here.
yes.
And Brittany had experiences with them as well, so that she was very open to it.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna ask one last question on that part of it. Everybody that come to see you after they died, including Brittany, says these words, "I'm okay." Now, what I've heard about the afterlife from people that had near-death experiences and spirits coming back, they're saying that it's really beautiful up there. I don't know if anybody's ever been to hell, but everybody's always talking about the heavenly part where everything is beautiful and it's nice and there's all this love and everybody's okay. So can you expand? Did anybody expand on what they mean by they're okay?
Well, the people that I've had communicated with, none of them were bad people. I think sometimes if somebody is a really negative entity or somebody's done great harm, I personally believe that they put themselves in the darkness. They're not going over there being all knowing. It just doesn't work that way. You can't cause havoc here and hurt people and get away with it. I'm not saying that there's a hell with fires burning. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that all the people who I've communicated with were decent people, and we've all made mistakes. I've never had no. There's been a few bad apples, and I've never seen them
Never
ever.
seen them. Okay, well, that's good. That just popped into my head because why is everybody's always talking about the beauty? Isn't there supposed to be, gnashing of teeth and screaming? That's supposed to be what hell is supposed to be like. All right, so that is great. Now, why was it important for you to write about your daughter's story and the relationship that you guys have beyond death? Why did you write the book, The Scent of Roses?
Well, I wanted to share her story, and I shared a little bit of my story, and I wanted to bring to the light the mental illness problem that we do have here. And I also wanted to share my experiences with the afterlife to give people a little bit of hope because I know I have helped some people. I'm not saying everyone, but people have told me, yes, you've put my mind at ease. They're not afraid of death anymore. I just felt it was very important to share that with other people and what I've learned. Because some of the experiences I have, I actually have a recording of her voice after death.
Really?
Yes.
Through the medium?
Nope. I recorded it myself.
Oh, wow. That's
I
great.
I was somebody
Wow.
I was on a recorder, and I said to her, "Brittany, say hello." And then I rewound it, and you can hear her voice very lightly saying, "Brittany, say hello." And my sisters heard it, my husband heard it. I let everyone hear it
All right.
just to know that,
Wow.
you know what? This is really happening. This
Yeah.
is really happening. And she's got to put her energy up to do something like that. She just
Yes.
can't do it without
Wow.
that
Wow.
energy. So when I showed everybody that and they listened to it, they're like, yeah. They felt a little better. And my
Yeah.
sister had even said to me, she sounds the voice sounds like when she was a little girl.
Mm.
Because she gave me a couple of recordings, and one she said, "Mama," and she always called me Mama, from the time she
Mm.
was a little girl. And my sister said to me, "That really
Mm.
sounds like her as a child." I said, "Yeah, it
Child
is."
trauma. Right.
So I had that was a gift to me. I know a couple other parents that have the same gift that children gave them to me, but I don't know that many that do though. There's a
Mm.
few that I joined a group called Helping Parents Heal. It's a child loss group,
Mm-hmm.
and there's quite a few in there that have recordings of their children as well.
You're kidding. Wow. This is powerful. Now I should, tell anyone that's listening and watching on TV that I told Susan as soon as she came on the camera that I felt either her energy or Brittany's energy because I'm getting chill bumps. And according to Abraham Hicks, when I listen, she says, whenever you see chill bumps, that's the spirit. And I'm getting them now all the time. So she's coming through the energy. Either she's there where you are and I'm picking it up, or she's here where I am, because you know that they can be omnipresent as well. So yes, she's around. And hello, Brittany.
Yeah. If
So yes.
if I ask her to be around or to give me a little push or to help me, she's there.
Yes,
She's
yes,
definitely there.
she's giving you strength. She's giving you encouragement on this because it's very difficult speaking about the death of your daughter, even though you speak to her, you know that she's okay. You can't hug her, you can't see her in front of you, and death still means that they're not coming back, kind of thing. So
Yeah, the physical, like,
yeah, the physical part is yeah, and I am sure that even though any parent likes to know that the kids are okay, likes to know that they can dream about them and see them, and and know that they're around even though they can't see them, whether it's roses or birds fluttering or something like that. They would give anything to be able to hug them and squeeze them and all that. So I understand your pain. Now, you said you wanted to highlight the mental illness part. Now, a lot of times, the story ends with mental illness and a suicide, and your daughter didn't commit suicide. And I don't know why kids do that, to be quite honest. People always give them things and they take it. And if anyone is listening right now, and don't take anything that people give you. You know what I mean?
mhm.
My, my sister had an ulcer, and she was here over the weekend, and I gave her some ghee butter. I says, "Lady, you know what? You should take this ghee butter because I understand it coats your stomach." She wouldn't touch it. She wouldn't touch it. I said, "All right, then. If you don't want to touch it, that's your doctor." But I mean, something as simple as that. If you
Yeah.
don't know, don't touch it. Don't have people give you pills you don't know what it is. It's the same thing that's happening right now with this fentanyl. People are giving people stuff and it's laced with fentanyl. You don't know what it is. Only your doctor should give you stuff. So you see what happens in a minute. This vibrant young woman that was only 21 is gone from this life. You know what I mean? So don't do it. Don't let everybody give you drugs. Don't let everybody give you pills. Don't let anybody give you anything that your doctor did not give you. So that was my little speech there. But you wanted to highlight the mental illness and the depression and bipolar. And you were saying that the drugs that they were giving her didn't help. Now, I had a psychiatrist on the show one time, and he said that these drugs never actually help the condition. All they do is make you into a zombie. He says it's like having a pimple and they cut off your arm because now you're not going to feel the pimple because your arm is not there. What was your experience with these drugs? Why do you think it didn't help? And what is the message that you want to leave regarding this?
I feel that the meds made her anxiety and depression a lot worse. She was put in the hospital for a little while, and they had her so drugged up that my sister came to the hospital. Now, my sister was a police officer at the time. She went into the hospital to visit Brittany, and she said they have her so drugged up. And then after she left, she was off of them just like that. Well, what good is that? And to go off of things just like that, that's not going to help. So then she came out worse than ever. I really don't think these drugs are helping. I have nothing but bad experiences from them. What I saw with her, mental illness is real, but there's got to be a better way to treat it than just loading them up on drugs.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Okay. All right. So yes, from your mouth to someone else's ears. But yeah, I know that they don't help. If they help, it would be, let's say that you've got cancer and they give you a drug and it gets rid of the cancer. Yeah. Apparently there's nothing that will get rid of the anxiety or depression. What they do is just mask the symptoms. But in your daughter's case, they weren't even masking the symptoms. She was getting worse. So obviously somebody was not giving her the right drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got her records from the hospital after she had passed, and I saw the medication she was on in the hospital. I couldn't believe it. And then she went home with nothing. You can't do that. You can't put them on drugs and then take them off like that. And it was just outrageous. I let the hospital know my opinion about that too. There was nothing that I ever held back. And I even got a response from them, which was nice. So.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, all we can do is use our story to help other people, which is basically what you do now, as far as helping someone that's grieving about a loss of a child, a spouse, a loved one, to know that, yes, the afterlife is there. They're there in spirit somewhere. They're okay, right? So that's good. You're also highlighting the issue with these mental illness drugs. They're not doing anything for, so they maybe should start doing some kind of laboratory tests or something to help, mental illness. Obviously they've dropped the ball on that, and it's not really working. And you're right, it's the young people that are suffering because, the suicides are going on because of mental illness. It is between, young adults and teenagers. That's the population that we are losing. Because I guess that's when it shows up. You mentioned that your daughter started when she was like 13, in high school. That's usually where it shows up. And they suffer through school, they suffer through college. And then, something happens that's tragic while they're still in their 20s. I guess when they get to the 30s, maybe it works a little different. All right. So tell us about your book. Why should someone go out and get the book? I know that you're talking about mental illness, you're talking about the story of your daughter, but why do you think that someone should pick up a copy of your book?
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to the mental health issue because there are a lot of people out there. I also talked about bullying, people not being nice to one another, and all things that Brittany stood for. They really
Mhm.
need to know that. And then also, the healing comes from knowing that you're going to hear from them. You're going to see them again at some point, no matter
Mhm.
what. She, in the beginning, after the loss, she practically threw herself in front of me to say, "Mom, I'm here." That was that kind of a, that was,
Mhm.
I truly believe that if people knew the truth about the afterlife, that
Mhm.
they wouldn't be so fearful and just, afraid they're going to hell or things like that. I mean, I think if you're a decent person, you're fine. That's my opinion. I think we need
Yes.
more decent people.
Yeah, I had an interview with a lady just recently, and she opened my mind to the fact that you get a life review within 3 days after you die. So yes, if you've done some bad things, it's revealed to you right after that. So
Yes,
yes,
absolutely. So
yeah,
can you imagine having to relive the
yes,
feelings of the person you hurt? Now, can you imagine having
yes,
to, I mean, that's punishment enough, to
yes,
have to feel
right,
what you've done
yes,
to people.
yes, yes,
There have been times where people have come back through mediums to apologize to somebody for what they
yes,
did, and they didn't realize it until they crossed over.
right.
So they know.
Yeah, this lady said that her daughter came back and apologized to her too.
Yes,
Yeah,
it absolutely is
yeah,
true. My
yeah.
my husband's stepfather did the same thing, came through a medium and
Mhm.
apologized for all the abuse.
Yeah,
He saw what he did when he crossed over,
yeah, right. Yeah, this is life review. Right. Awesome. All right. So where can our listeners pick up a copy of your book? Tell us if you're on social media, what are your social media handles? And yeah, what do you want them to walk away with after reading the book?
A sense of peace and calmness. I also want them to know they're not alone with all the struggles that we go through in life. And I want to give them hope that life's going to continue on. If you're struggling now, there's going to be an end at some point. It's not going to go on forever. I know sometimes you feel like it does, but my book is on Amazon. It's also on my website, thescentofroses.com. And my Instagram account is Brittany Scent of Roses.
Okay.
So if you go to
Thank
my
you, Rose.
website, they'll
Mhm.
be able to go right to Amazon to order the book.
Okay. All right. Well, Susan, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your daughter with us, giving us hope on life after death, letting us know that we can communicate with with the deceased, either through dreams or through someone talked about one time seeing a bird. Whenever there's a bird, that maybe that's them, or you know, however they choose to
Yes,
communicate with you. Go ahead. You were saying something? Mm.
absolutely. Even little things like coins being around, little things. It doesn't matter. But I speak to other parents and they see signs all the time. Whether they see a license plate with the child's name on it or something. I've seen that too. I've seen waitresses come up to me and their name tag says Brittany. I'm like,
Brittany?
oh,
Yeah.
is that? It's just, I mean, things like that, or
Yeah.
I'm scrolling down, through Facebook and I see a necklace come through and it says Brittany on it, things like that. So
Wow,
it's
that's
more than, yeah,
powerful.
it's more than
Yes.
a coincidence.
Yes, that's powerful. Well, yeah, so that's beautiful. Like I said, it gives a lot of people hope. It helps with the grieving process. even though you will grieve, it helps to be, now, in the Bible, Jesus or, God communicates to a lot of people through dreams. So, I'm one of these virgins. I've never had anybody communicate with me through dreams. I guess I don't have the ability, but I would love that. I interviewed a guy recently that talked about how his life changed by being able to remember his dreams, number one, because I don't even do that. Remember his dreams, and he got messages from his dreams that he became a healer because everything started coming through to him through his dreams. So yes, I would even, get up and put a dream journal beside my bed, hoping that I would remember my dreams, because apparently your dreams are snatched within the 10 minutes after you wake up. So,
I just want to comment about what you said about that you don't have the ability. My husband didn't either. Believe me, he never remembered his dreams. He never saw anyone, and she got him.
wow.
There's
Yes, you
always
did tell
hope.
me that.
But
Yes.
I honestly have been praying for a long time, please, something to help him. And it
Okay.
eventually happened. It took a while, but it happened.
Wow. Yes.
So
Well, she was, she wanted to communicate with him. But yes, that's great. So, wow. Powerful conversation, Susan. Thank you so much. For those listening and watching on TV, a transcript of my conversation with Susan will be on the show page, blog.myhelps.us, and I will link out to her book. Definitely support her. Definitely go pick up a copy of her book so that she can get the word out about her daughter and help you if you have lost someone. But we all know that we are going to experience death of something. There's one thing that we're certain of: people are going to die among us. And it's good to know ahead of time that, death is not the end, right? It's not the end. Christians do believe in eternal life. So now we are getting more and more evidence of it.
yes.
Right. So thank you so much, Susan, for coming on the show and sharing your story. As we wrap up, any last words?
No, I'm just hoping that the book is going to help more people. I really truly do, because it came from my heart, and it took a couple of years for me to really get it together, but I just really felt I needed to do it. So if you want to know more about my experiences, take a look at the book. Thank
Yes,
you.
for sure. For sure. I mean, we just basically touched on it, in this interview, but
Yeah,
yeah, the book will go into the book will go into a lot more detail and, make you a believer. I believe that. Yes. All right, guys. Well, listen, thanks you for tuning in to this week's episode of Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life. So today we were talking about the afterlife. Today we're talking about, if you live good, then you will be okay when you die. If you live good, then when you, reach out to your loved ones, you will say, I'm okay. We haven't heard anybody talk about somebody that comes back and say, I'm burning in hell or something, but we have one of
Oh,
those.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, all right. Maybe those ones don't get to come back.
Maybe they just don't make an appearance, the ones that did great harm. I think that might be true.
Right,
Maybe.
exactly. So the good news is that everybody that I've spoken to always say it's so beautiful, and they're okay. So that is good for, us that still have the flesh, that we know that there's life after, and it's a good life. So thank you guys for tuning in. Susan, thank you so much. Brittany, hey. And until next time, namaste.
Thank you.
You're welcome.